Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we are doing our XFL game predictions along with the spreads and the over-unders. So yeah, word of the day is reasonably, or reasoning. Word of the day is reasoning, okay? And last week, um, hold on. Okay, last week, straight up, my dad went 4-0, and I went 3-1. Pretty good week for both of us. Neither of us, both over 500. So I'll take that as a dub. On the spread, my dad went 2-2, and I went 2-2. So still even, and it's a spread. I don't really gamble like that, so next up on the over/under, I hit on every single pick, went 4-0, and my dad went 1-3. So yeah, don't trust my dad on the over/under. But yeah, I would have made a lot of money last week on the over/unders. So yeah. Anyways, so now we are on to this week. So last week does not matter, of course. As soon as I find my notes here. Okay, here we are. So we have the Sea Dragons at the Vegas Vipers. Both of these teams are 0-2. The Sea Dragons are favored by 3.5 points. I think I got on here. Yes, plus 3.5. So, yeah. I got these freaking spreads and over-unders from, I don't know what it was, but, it wasn't the thing that I got them from the last 2 weeks, and, I don't really like it, but, I couldn't find the other one, so it's okay. But, anyways, this game, Vipers, tough week against the Defenders last week. Defense held up really strong, but it was a really defensive game. Defenders really got rolling once they put De'Aaron King in, and, that just kind of pretty much won them the game. They ended up winning 18-6. And so for the Vipers, that's a tough loss. You were doing really, really well, and then, it's a close game. You miss a field goal there at the end of halftime, and, you never really get back to score again. And so, it's just, not the greatest. It was a rainy night. It was really windy. I think the offense will definitely be better next week. Brett Hundley got to play. He seemed like a good guy. He seemed like he was excited to play football, and he seemed like he was just out there to have a good time. And so this game could definitely come down to a close one, and I do not think Brett Hundley will get rattled at all. Because I just think, he's not the kind of guy. I don't think he's honestly taking it too seriously. I think he's trying to play well, trying to play to the best of his abilities, but I don't think he's going to stress out too much in a tough situation. He was laughing in the locker room at halftime. He was good on the sidelines. I mean, seemed like a good guy to have a fun game with. And, yeah. So, on to the Seattle Sea Dragons. They, of course, played my Battlehawks and lost in tough fashion yet again, losing by 2 points. And, it's just tough. They've lost the last 2 games on really close scores, really tight scores, came down to the end. And, they just can't get it. I'm not exactly sure if I remember how the game ended. I honestly can't tell you. It was last Thursday. I mean, I really do not remember. Oh, yeah, it came down to a game-winning field goal. Austin Proehl made another great play. And, that's just tough luck. I mean, it's a great kick, 47-yard kick, I think, from, an XFL kicker. That's not going to go in a lot of the time. So, a tough break. It was a good game. Just defense gave it up there at the end. And, now the offense has something to say to the defense after they sold on the 1-yard line last week. So, this team's not feeling great in close games, and I just think Brett Hundley will have that edge over him. I think he'll get his team through it, help his team relax a little bit, especially, both these teams have NFL, quarterbacks, but I think Brett Hundley brings that kind of vibe a little bit more to his team, and I think now that he's had, a solid 3 weeks under his belt with this playbook and with this team, I think he'll do a lot better, especially in some better weather. At Vegas, I'm taking the Vipers on this one, and so is my dad. On to the spread. Let me find it. Okay, so the thing said Sea Dragons are favored by 3.5. So obviously I'm taking the Vipers, and so is my dad. However, the over/under was 38.5, and so this is an interesting one. Last week, the Sea Dragons and Battlehawks put up 38 points, with the Sea Dragons putting up 18, and last week the Vipers put up 6 points. So, you'd think you would take the under here, but I'm actually going to take the over. I think they're going to be in good weather. Two NFL caliber quarterbacks with two good receivers in Martavis Bryant and Josh Gordon. I think these teams will definitely get their offenses started this week, and I think it will be a shootout. And, I think it'll come down to the wire. And when I say shootout, I mean XFL standards shootout. So I'm taking the over. However, my dad will take the under. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Battlehawks versus the Defenders. And this one is interesting. So, I was thinking about taking the Defenders in this one. But I just want y'all to know, I'm a Battlehawks fan. So, what we did when I was doing my NFL picks is, I just never allowed myself to pick against the Falcons. And, I think that's what I'm going to do in this XFL. I'm never going to pick against the Battlehawks. So, obviously, I am taking the Battlehawks in this one. However, I might take, the spread or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If it's not the Battlehawks' favor. Or if it is in the Battlehawks' favor, and, I picked the Battlehawks, I might take the other team just to try and compensate for me having to be biased. But, yeah, anyways, so, Battlehawks versus Defenders. The Defenders had a great week last week, beating the Seattle Sea Dragons, beating the Vegas Vipers, of course. And, De'Aaron King played a heck of a game, had a great run game, just played really well overall. And, it was great because, it was windy, it's raining, and, who do you put in? You put in your running quarterback, and you just run zone reads after zone reads, and, maybe some play action in there, and, passes didn't go great the whole time, but, they weren't really trying to pass. They were just running options, running, tosses. They were just running the ball, keeping the ball on the ground with their speed guys, with their impact players, and that's what they needed to do. Jordan Ta'amu did not have the greatest week, but you can expect that with how the rain conditions were. He's their thrower, he's their passing quarterback, and, you can't expect them to have a great week every week, especially in those conditions. And I think they played a great game, made great adjustments. Defense definitely held strong, and I just think they had a great week that week. Now, of course, the Battlehawks, came from behind yet again in another thriller with a 44, 47-yard field goal by their kicker, who had missed two prior to that. Missed like a 32-yarder and missed a 50-yarder. I don't necessarily blame him for missing the 50-yarder. I mean, you're in the XFL. If you don't have the leg, that's okay. Now, the 32-yarder, that one's a little bit questionable. Just kind of hooked it left. But, great kick to end the game. Austin Proehl, he is the most clutch wide receiver I've ever seen. Two huge catches in back-to-back weeks to help the Battlehawks win the game. A.J. McCarron, he's a former Falcon, but he is not acting like a Falcon right now. Falcons would have choked both of those games, okay? Seattle Sea Dragons, New Atlanta Falcons, but we're not talking about the Seattle Sea Dragons. So, Battlehawks, great at closing out games, great at finishing. Defenders, great team, great strategy, good defense. Both of these teams are absolutely electric. Of course, I'm taking the Battlehawks in this one, but it will be a great game. As for these spreads and everything, the spread is Defenders favored by 2 points. So, of course, I took the Battlehawks, and so did my dad. Over-under is 37.5. I think both of these offenses definitely get it going. With De'Aaron King and Jordan Ta'amu, I think they definitely have, a big game. I think they understand their roles now, and I think they'll definitely play really well, especially after going out of those conditions. They are prepared to play in hot weather, and they are excited and good and dry. And so I'm taking the over in this one, and so is my dad. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Guardians versus the Renegades. And, look, the Guardians are not doing too good right now. They're trying to figure out their quarterback situation. I mean, are they going to start freaking Paxton Lynch? Are they going to start Martavis Bryant? Or not Martavis Bryant. It's like Maurice something. I don't know. Are they going to start the third guy? I don't know. There's like 3 quarterbacks in there that they just kind of rotated out last game in their loss to the Brahmas. And, it just did not look good. 30-14 loss. Their defense is not playing very well, but the defense doesn't have much to play for. The offense is not putting up good numbers. The team seems to be falling apart. I don't know if y'all were listening in to the game, but during the game, Paxton Lynch makes a bad throw on third down, and the wide receiver on the sideline says, yo, bad word is coming out. And, the team just seems to be falling apart, and they don't really trust each other, and it's just not clicking together well. And so I do not see them beating arguably one of the best teams in the league. I don't see them beating the Roughnecks. The Renegades. I thought they were playing the Roughnecks. I could have swore they were playing the Roughnecks. Arguably one of the best teams in the league. Obviously not the best. They lost to the Roughnecks. That's what I was thinking, Roughnecks. But, I just don't see it happening. However, though, of course I'm taking the Renegades, and so is my dad. But the spread is Renegades minus 8.5. And so this is an interesting one. Okay? So 8.5 points. The Renegades, of course, like to run the ball. Threw a couple of interceptions last week with Drew Plitt. Wasn't the greatest start to their game. They finished kind of poorly. It just wasn't the greatest performance they could have had last week. They're ready to go take it out on the worst team in the league. But, they want to run the ball. They want to establish a run game. Okay. I am back. But, whatever. So anyways, 8.5 points. I'm going to have to take the Guardians. This is just such a huge spread, and it's only week 3. The Guardians are looking to do something. The Renegades, they're a running team. I got to take the Guardians. I think it'll be a little, close in the 9-point range. I don't think the Renegades will necessarily run away with it. Even though they are a definitely better team, I don't think it'll be close in terms of, finish the game. It wasn't stressful. But I do think it will be close in score. So I am taking the Guardians in this one. So is my dad for the spread. And I'm also going to take the under because I just don't see the Guardians offense getting going with their 3-quarterback system. And obviously, the Renegades looking to run the ball. So I'm taking the under in this one, and so is my dad. So, yeah. Next up, we got the Brahmas versus the Roughnecks. And this one, is pretty interesting. So, not really. So the Brahmas had a great game against the Guardians, won 30-14. Looked absolutely amazing. The receivers were catching the ball this time. Jack Cohen looked really, really good. Really good. And, it was just an overall good game. The defense played well. And, they came out with the win. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't really remember much of any of these games. But I do know that they did good. Okay, receivers looked a lot better. The chemistry with Jack Cohen and the receivers was a lot better. Kalen Balaj, I don't know if the running game was too good. That's just not something I necessarily remember from the game that stood out to me. But the receivers were definitely catching the ball this time, and it was just working out really well for them. However, they're going up against arguably the best team in the league. And, it's just tough, okay? It is just tough, all right? Brandon Silvers has been playing absolutely out of his mind. Scored 23 points against the Renegades with, a really good defense. And then, scored like 30 or whatever against the Guardians, who, aren't the best, but still showed his talent, put his talent on full display. I'm not exactly sure how good the run game did. I don't necessarily remember. But, this Roughnecks team is playing really, really well. Their defense is playing really, really good. Held the Renegades to 14 points. Held the freaking, who did I just say they played? The freaking Guardians to, 6 points. I mean, their defense is playing really well, really well. Their offense is playing really, really well. I think this team is just absolutely playing out of their mind right now, and I think they're gelling really, really well. So I have to take the Roughnecks in this one, and so will my dad. And, yeah, the spread on this one is 4.5 points. Got it from that whatever news thing. honestly, I really do like the old one better because you could see like 4 sites, and then I just averaged them out. So if it was like 3.5, 3.5, 4, 3.5, I take the 3.5. But now I'm only getting the one, and I don't really like it. But it's whatever. So 4.5 points. I'm going to take the Roughnecks. My dad is taking the Brahmas. I think the Roughnecks can just run away with this one. I do not think the Battlehawks are as good as the Roughnecks. And the Battlehawks beat the Brahmas by 3 points, I believe. Was it 3 points? I think so. So yeah, I think the Roughnecks can beat them by more than 5 points, by more than 4.5 points. So I'm going to take the Roughnecks in this one. However, my dad is going to take the Brahmas for the spread. And I think both of these teams have a really good offense. And, the Roughnecks do have a good defense, but Jack Cohen and Kalen Balaj and those receivers, I think they'll have enough to push it to the over, along with Brandon Silvers and what that Roughnecks offense can do. So me and my dad will both take the over. And that is it for all of the XFL games. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time.